Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, and welcome to Business Innovators Radio. I'm your host, Ken Sherman, and today we're talking with another entrepreneur with a story of success to share, Shannon Powell from TotSpot Preschool. We'll hear how Shannon took an idea 8 years ago and turned it into a successful multi-location preschool, now serving over 250 students. Welcome to the show, Shannon.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
So, Shannon, I'm curious, what led you down the road to start a preschool? How did that happen for you?
Well, I am a teacher, and I have a passion for teaching, and I have a degree in elementary education, so it's something that's always been important to me. But I am also a mother of 5 children, ranging in ages currently from 4 to almost 18. So I wanted to create a program that really embodied all the important things I felt in the education world, but also create a very nurturing and supportive environment for children, keeping in mind all of the things that I feel is important, not just academically as a teacher, but also socially and emotionally.
So how do you help your clients? I know, if I were to put my child in preschool, that's something I'd want to be really careful about. I'd want to know that I'm sending them to the right place. How is it you help your clients? What are you doing that's maybe different than some of the other preschool options out there?
Well, I tell you, there is a lot of options out there for preschools and daycares. And so I know as a parent, it can be really overwhelming. Finding a center that you feel is a good fit for your family, and more importantly, that you can trust with your child, because often, young toddlers cannot speak yet. And so you really place a lot of faith and trust in basically strangers to take care of and educate your children. So what makes us a little bit different is that we are not really just a daycare center. We are a part-day academic program designed to get children ready for kindergarten. And we don't accept children into our program until they're at least 2 years old. And we keep them in our program until the time that they're ready to go to kindergarten.
So you have
the rest of the question, sorry.
Oh, so you have a whole academic program as part of your services, where some other daycares may just be sort of a daycare, a place where a child may go after school or even before school when the parent's working to be watched all day long and play. But there really isn't sort of an educational component, where your program, you have a whole academic curriculum set up for them. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. We basically are really efficient in what we do here. Our program is anywhere from 2.5 to 4 hours per day, and there's a lot of different options based on your budget and what you're looking for your child. You can have your child attend 2 days, 3 days, or 5 days a week in our program. And what you're going to get here that's very unique compared to other programs, not only do we have a very structured academic environment, but we also have very small class sizes and ratios that are much under the guidelines that we are given by the state of Arizona for child care licensing. In addition, we have a highly educated staff. Once again, the education requirements of our staff far exceed the guidelines that we are given.
So it sounds like you're really doing something right over there. I'm curious, you're a mother of 5, you've got 5 children in the home, and yet you still found time to take TotSpot Preschool and grow it into a successful business. How many students are you working with now?
Well, we anticipate that we will start this fall 2016 school year with nearly 300 students between our 2 centers, all ranging in the age of 2 to 5. So we have grown quite a bit.
That's amazing. And so my next question, I've got to know, as a mother of 5, I got to imagine you're busy, right?
Absolutely.
So Shannon, what personal attributes or beliefs or traits or qualities do you think contribute the most to your success, and how did you develop those?
Well, back when I started TotSpot Preschool, I wanted to find a program that I could have confidence in, that was meeting all the needs of my child while I was away working. And I really had trouble finding a program in this area, so I created it myself. And I think that one thing that I bring to this business that's unique is that I am a mother, and we do have a very nurturing environment for children. And I also do have children with special needs as well. So that's something that's a passion of mine because I know how important it is to look at each child as an individual and try to meet their needs in a day-to-day setting.
So Shannon, growing a business to 300 students, I'm sure there had to be some roadblocks and maybe some adversity along the way. Tell us about some of the roadblocks you experienced along the way and how you overcame them.
I think one of the roadblocks that I encountered is there's not a lot of centers like mine that's designed to be a part-day academic center. When I first went to obtain my child care license for my commercial location in Gilbert back in 2010, I was a little downhearted when the licensor told me that not a lot of part-day academic preschools last and are successful because she didn't feel like there was enough people out there that were looking for just part-day care. And so I didn't let that stop me, though. I'm very tenacious and I'm very passionate with what I do. And I knew there had to be other parents like me that didn't need full-time care, but had a desire to find a program where their child could socialize and also learn for part of the day. And so I didn't give up. And one of the other issues or things that we found was just keeping up with our growth. We grew tremendously in a short time. We started with 4 classrooms at our Gilbert location, and just a couple short later, we were able to expand and add 2 additional classrooms and more class options. And then as we continue to grow now, just less than 6 short later years after we started the Gilbert location, we're now doing a Chandler location as well, modeled after the original location in Gilbert.
So I got to know, I'm imagining a mother of 5 at home with her children and suddenly going into the entrepreneurial role of having a successful, very rapidly growing business that had to bring up some personal challenges for you. Or is it something you've always known that you would be an entrepreneur, or had you had other entrepreneurial experience that helped you along the way?
It's funny. I actually had 0 entrepreneurial experience minus the 18 months that I did teach preschool out of my home for a very small group from the fall of 2008 till the summer of 2010 when I opened my commercial location. Of course, there are lots of challenges along the way. The budget was slim, as is in education. So I had to do a lot of study and research of how I could do things on my own to be able to be successful and grow business. And I think one of the things that has helped me is my passion for what I do. I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have a passion for it. And it allows me to not give up. And I just really, truly enjoy working with children. Obviously, I have 5 children of my own, so I enjoy children very much. But also just surrounding myself with a very supportive, hardworking staff is what helps keep us being successful.
You know, it's an unusual story. You said it yourself. Most preschools, especially part-day preschools, they fail. And you've seen success over a long period of time. You've, in fact, opened a second location, which we'll talk about in a moment, very successful. And you mentioned that you didn't give up because you're passionate about it. And I think if any entrepreneur can find something that they love to do, that they would do for free if they didn't need money, it's not like going to work. It's actually a lot of fun. Now, at the same time, growing a business, rapidly like that, you run into a lot of challenges along the way. And that sometimes can sort of suck the life out of it and just really make it not fun anymore. And you've found a way to do that. It sounds like by bringing people that are highly qualified and really great at what they do around you and allowing them to really take control and be excellent so you can focus on working on the business instead of in the business. That's great. So Shannon, I'm curious, what are some of the misconceptions that your prospects may have about what you do? Parents looking for a child, maybe they're looking at a preschool. Are there any misconceptions or things like that a parent might have about preschool in general?
Well, I know one thing about our program is if parents work full-time, sometimes they feel like they cannot have the opportunity to have their child attend our program. However, we have found that a lot of working parents are able to also take advantage of our program by maybe having a care provider, often grandparents or some other nanny or care provider, providing their daycare, but then that person will also transport them to our program so that they're also getting the top-notch, program that we have here at TotSpot. I think another misconception is that because you hear some stories in the media, and I think, a lot of times parents are really afraid to take that next step and put trust in basically a center or a program with their child that is so small. But there is so many things put in place that ensure that we can run a really great program. And the great thing is that all of that is public record. You can research any child care facility and find out how their yearly inspections, which are unannounced, by the way, how they perform on those. So you can really just take that extra step by doing your homework, not just on the reputation and online reviews from other parents, but also take that extra step to research the center, find out how their annual inspections are going and how they're performing. And then, of course, I always recommend just stopping in any center that you're interested in unannounced, and they should welcome you with open arms no matter the time of day. They should make time for you and be able to show you around any center that is basically following the guidelines that we're given at all times, should always be able to make time and welcome you into their center to give you a tour.
Focused on the customer. I love it. So, Shannon, did you come from an entrepreneurial family, or is anyone in your family employed in their own business? I'm curious where you got the idea to take this and how you saw it from an early time to being a big business like you've got now. I know it's been a long period of growth here, but at one point you were a mother of 5 and thinking, boy, this would be a great business, and now you've got 300 students. That's unusual for most people, and unusual for a business like yours to survive for so long and thrive. Do you come from an entrepreneurial background? Is anyone in your family a business owner or anything? Did you grow up that way?
It's funny that you asked me that question, because I was just thinking about this the other day, and I learned later that really I started this business in a really down economy. I think my being naive kind of helped me. I didn't let it stop me, but I do have my grandfather, Bill Biesmeyer, was known in Mesa. He only had an 8th grade education, but he had an inventor's mind. And he came from a family of mechanics and cabinet makers and was really, really good with his hands. And despite his limited education, he was able to start a business back in the 80s after failing many times. He started a business and invented the Biesmeyer tools and the T-square soffents, some specialized pieces that went on table saws. And he was able to take on a partner who was able to take his idea and market it. And he was able to have a very, very successful business in the 80s and 90s called Biesmeyer Manufacturing. And it was located on Alma School in Maine for many, many years. And he wasn't able to accomplish that until I believe he was in his 50s. And he was my number one supporter and my number one fan. And he actually helped me to start TotSpot Preschool. He actually gave me money to be able to open the first commercial center. And he just never doubted me, and he believed in me. And the fact that it was in education, because he didn't have very good experiences with education, and he also had a learning disability and really struggled, he just was my biggest fan, and he never doubted me for a minute, so I couldn't doubt myself when I had such a great supporter. He sold his business and retired in 1994. He passed away a few years ago, but I think about him often as I start on this new adventure and how I wouldn't be here without him at all. Not just him backing me financially, but especially for just being my biggest cheerleader and telling me not to give up.
What a great story of success. I knew there had to be something in there. I knew somebody was behind that. I share the same story. I have people in my family that have been self-employed that It really helps support me in every way. So Shannon, I want to talk a little bit about the growth of your business in the last couple of years. What type of growth have you seen? I know you just opened a second location in Chandler. Is that right?
Yes. Since we opened our new addition or our expansion in 2014 at our Gilbert location, we've literally seen our enrollment numbers double. And it hasn't slowed down. Matter of fact, a lot of our morning classes at Gilbert, especially in our Twos class program, has had extensive waiting lists to try to get into our program. So we've definitely seen a lot of growth in our numbers, and we do get the majority of our families based on referrals. In this business, that's a very effective way to advertise your business or to be able to get new enrollments is if parents or your customers here have a great experience with their child, they're going to tell their friends, their neighbors, their family members, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons we have been able to experience so much growth.
That's fantastic. I'm curious how opening a second location has challenged you. Was it as hard as opening the first one, or what you had learned from the first one you were able to apply opening the second location?
I learned quite a bit. The first time around, I was very naive, and when I look back, I'm not sure, honestly, how it took off so quick and was successful in a down economy when I was just learning as I was going. And I really think that it was successful just because I did have a passion and because I just enjoy what I do. The second time around has offered some challenges, being in a different city and there's different codes and things. And I think that for me, I think it's been a little more difficult emotionally because I think it was a little easier when I didn't know really what I was up against sometimes, but trying to meet all the specific deadlines, to get my occupancy and my childcare license and still be able to open the school on time. And being summertime as well, there's always things that go wrong and delays, and trying to be flexible and be patient and work around all those things.
It's an interesting perspective. You found it easier the first time because you didn't know what you didn't know, and now that you know all these things, it's more stressful.
Yes.
I tell my kids all the time: if you think you can, you can't. If you think you can't, you can't. And so it's exactly the same. Well, Shannon, thank you for taking time out of your day today. I know you've got a lot going on down there at TotSpot, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show with us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being invited to do it.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.